ducks, looking all cute in his sartorial charm. It's all gray. Hey, everyone, how's it going? It is either or Randy Chavez coming at you today with a OMI is my homie show number 73. We got VeVe Gold Gifts, OMI in Q4 with the best co-hosts out there, Crypto Rain and Dr. Stuff. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. And my men, how you doing? Comey hats everywhere.
Yes. I got one foot around here somewhere.
Thank you, everyone, for waiting. This is
doing well. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Yeah, you too. You too. I had a quick conversation with Rain the end of last week about some plans that I'll tell you about afterwards. But the plans for VeVe and I guess the rest of the world seem to be going pretty well. Let's take a look at what we have to cover today, and it do be a lot. Government shutdowns, rate cuts, Sora and IP rights, OMI giveaways. That was done on StackR and StackR's big tease that they had the other day. David, you teasing a little bit about 50 Cent, whatnot partnerships, and more. We'll get back to those. Gentlemen, how was your week? How have you been feeling in this month of October, in the first week of Q4?
Well, the government shutdown's been good to crypto. Really, overall, behind the scenes, a lot of banks are picking up ETH tremendously. And so ETH really picking up is going to kick off altcoin season much more. So looks like that might be ready to happen.
Listen, it's crazy how, because people expect it to happen, things start to happen. You know, like everyone's like, oh, Uptober. And like legitimately, all suddenly like October 1st, and it's like freaking green candles. like what? Like that's wild. You know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting to me. And I know that like Rain talks about this, and so does Paul from Definity, about how technical analysis works because enough people like believe in it and they look at those things, and so that they act accordingly to those numbers and stuff. People trade off of those, right? Like those Fibonacci levels and things, that it's like kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think that's what we're seeing here, right? Is that people are like Uptober, and everyone believes that things are going to continue to get hotter and hotter throughout the rest of the year. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if that all plays out that way. But like we're starting to see that, like you said, with the rate cuts potentially happening again. Now, here's the thing, though. I think it's important. I mean, I was looking at like rate cuts didn't really affect mortgage rates. There still is some concern with interest rate cuts that inflation is looming. And so markets are slower to react to that. But regardless of like what the markets are doing, and especially, you know, you kind of, and I want you to talk about this. I haven't seen this or heard this. Something about Trump giving, like wanting to give like $1,000 to, or $2,000 to like every person. Yeah, talk about that, because like, man, injecting that kind of money, like you better believe that people are going to be throwing some of that into crypto. So. But bullish October so far, man. First week of it so far. It's been good.
What's interesting is late September, like fear and greed index has been pretty low until just barely. And so what's funny is that Paul always says like the markets climb a wall of worry. And there was just a lot of worry, even though like fundamentally there was not really much reason to worry. Like everything was lining up for Bitcoin's price to go higher. In the US, interest rates are going to come down. The money printer is going on internationally and probably much more in the US than it has been. And that always drives markets higher, especially the crypto market. And so fundamentally, everything was sound. And yet like the fear and greed index was quite low. It was like below 40 in late September. It was all the way down at like 30 something. It was like, what the heck? Are they kidding me? Of course it's going to do well coming up. And now we're seeing that reflected. So even today, it's only at a 62% towards greed, which is still fairly low. So Also, you might be fairly biased. It might be your circle of people that you look to that believe October is going to be really good. Overall, just did a 62% for the fear and greed index, even after things have gone as high as they have.
When I say like I say crypto land, everyone like is believing that October is traditionally an up month for crypto. And that's where it's coming from. And I would say that, yeah, a lot of people that I spoke to in crypto were definitely like, oh man, I think October is going to be good. September is normally down. Downtember's October. So, yeah.
It did surprise me because February is generally a very good month for Bitcoin as well, and you got wrecked in February. Granted, that was just because of the tariffs that we had, but I was like, okay, well, we didn't really get, I think, too much of a Santa rally, this last time. February was kind of the opposite was happening, and September was usually bad, but I was like, okay, well, August is like the last 2 weeks of August was bad. Like, so maybe September will be good, but it was just the last half of August and all of September that was bad. And it's like, oh man, this is rough. But yeah, October 1st. I don't know if that was because of the shutdown or if it was just happened to be coincidence. But obviously, if the government is not in session, then they cannot pass bogus bills. But speaking of the tariffs that I had mentioned before, the Watcher Guru had reported that President Trump says he is considering a $1,000 to $2,000 stimulus check for all taxpayers using tariff revenue. I don't know if it's going to be like last time, or if you make a certain amount, you're not going to get any. I was very salty about that last time. But last time that happened, it was, I had like so many different things on Facebook at the time where I was like, yeah, it's can't work, but people were getting those $1,200 checks, and I expected to be like, okay, that's it. And some people were, but some of the other people were just yeeting those things into Pokemon cards. Like, people were not responsible with their $1,200 checks. I don't see why people would be any different this time. I could really picture people going really ham sandwich into Bitcoin and crypto with these $1,200 checks or $1,000 to $2,000 checks. Again, they might not happen. There's some things that Trump says he wants to do that just they wind up not doing. But this seems that it would make sense. It's not like the government has to go in and write a check and cause more of a deficit. It's coming from the revenues of the tariff, so it's not going to be at any cost to the government. It's mostly paid for by those other countries. But at the same time, you have Trump. Sometimes he says things to get a reaction. This didn't even come from him. The mint actually wants to make $1 Trump coins, or coins with Trump's face on them. I didn't think there's going to be a limited amount. But yeah, I think those will be really good for. I think those will be really good for crypto. I don't know if it'll just be the top 10 or 20 altcoins. Probably. I guess it depends when we get them, when alt season happens. And I guess that's something else I wanted to go over with you guys. We had a rate cut already. There's a 95% chance that we get another rate cut in October. And granted, Bitcoin had just reached all-time highs, I think, yesterday, and Ethereum went back up to like 46, 47, give or take, and obviously we're down today. But and BNB is at all-time highs too, and it's slowly getting into that phase 3. When do you think we see it go from phase 3 to phase 4 for these alts? Like, do we need another rate cut? I mean, obviously we do, but do we need that to be the catalyst? Do we need another rate cut on top of that? Because these 25 base rate cuts aren't really that doing the job. What do you think we need?
I think it's really hard to tell in the short term what is going to play out. Even though I've been in crypto for 8 years, I watch and it's like guessing what's going to happen the next 2 months. Like, I think it's going to be fairly strong in the crypto market, and that's my guess, but I don't know that. Why? Well, if Trump had already replaced 2 boards of governors on the Fed chair and Jerome Powell, yeah, I think it would go crazy this quarter for sure. Why? Because probably we'd be seeing a 0.5% interest rate cut, because Trump's going to try to grow the U.S. out of its debt problem. And so he's at war with the Fed because the Fed has been fighting against that. And so there's two ways that Trump can save the U.S. situation. One is massive cuts to entitlements, which is usually political suicide, or he can try to grow out of the problem. To grow out of the problem, he needs interest rates to come down more. He needs the money printer to turn on. And so that's what he's pushing hard for. And he's pretty good at getting his way. I mean, his first time ever running for office, and he beats a long time, very established politician, Hillary Clinton. He won again just recently. And he's really good at getting stuff done. So I think he's going to get those interest rate cuts. But with Jerome Powell there, it may not happen till he's out. Maybe a 0.25% here, maybe another one. But that's, I think, a lot slower than he would like it. And if he were able to replace Jerome Powell sooner, he'd probably put in somebody that would be much, much more dovish and go a 0.5% cut than a 0.5% cut. Just to catch up, I mean, the U.S. has been higher than Europe by 2.25%. So U.S. had been at 4.25%, and Europe had been at 2% for a while. Why? I don't know. Jerome Powell was concerned there would be a rise, massive inflation on the horizon. That's what he says. That doesn't add up with what he had said prior about how he has to look at the data according to what he has, and he can't look into the future and project what he thinks is going to be. And then all of a sudden he's looking in the future, projecting what he thinks it's going to be. In other words, he just started doing something he said he could never do. So why? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this on the last episode, but like if you watch Raoul Pal's the Everything Code, he talks about global liquidity supply and how that's one of the main and strongest correlations between the increasing global liquidity supply and increases in Bitcoin's price and the price action there. And he's just showing that like this, it's ramping up. So when you get that money printer, right, and all of a sudden the U.S., whether it's through stimulus checks or something, that starts to be pumped in, a lot of money does go towards that, and people go into risk on assets, not just retail, right, but like, and with the cutting in interest rates, that does allow corporations to take more risk, right? They get more loans because it's at a lower rate. They refinance loans, which then, they could pay higher dividends. Like there's a lot of things that kind of really start turning that economic wheel and getting money into the system. And I think once we get that money into the system, that's when crypto starts to go really, really big. And then as that starts to go bigger and that greed indicator starts to get higher, right? Then I guess just like last cycle, right? It's like people start jumping into crypto and everything just goes up for a while, and everyone thinks they're genius, right? Because it's like that really doesn't matter what coin they're in. All of a sudden, it's going up. Sometimes it's 50%, but for them, 50% is like crazier than anything they've experienced in the stock market. But then some of these tokens are going 4x, 5x, 10x, right? And they're just tripping out, and like that's when, like the money just starts. Like you're getting those multiples, right? Like just significant multiples depending on what tokens you're in the market cap and what the narrative is at the time. And I think that we still have some time before that happens. I'm thinking Q1 is when we really get into phase 4 or whatever, right? Where it's just kind of crazy and euphoric and stupid things are happening where you're just like, this is like, how is this token just pumped 12x? Like it makes no sense. And listen, everyone, I'm telling you right now, at that point, that's when I'm going to start selling a lot of my stuff. Like I'm not going to wait for the top. Like I didn't time the top last time. And I'm going to be holding, I'm going to be selling and in the stable, I'm going to be freaking holding and % on my Coinbase account. Something like that. I'm not rolling it back into projects like I did this last time, and I'll just wait for the next bear market. We'll see how that all plays out.
I'll be on Adventure saying, hey, it's too late to withdraw only from Bit4X. I haven't taken a look at that in a while. I don't know. It might be. Do you guys have any info on that? Yeah. We haven't.
I gotta text my cousin. He had money. On. I gotta text my buddy, my cousin, and see if he had got his OMI off.
We will let them know then. We are doing you mentioned Coinbase. 49 out of 50 states can buy OMI on Coinbase, and it takes about 15 seconds. So that's amazing. Unfortunately, if you're in New York, they are the worst state for crypto just that reason alone. But if you're in New York, it's unfortunate you cannot buy OMI on Coinbase. You're going to have to do it on Coinbase Wallet. But for everyone else, it takes about 15 seconds. You can buy it in US dollars. It's awesome. Speaking of Coinbase, they're now partnering with Samsung to help bring 75 million new customers to crypto. And they're going to be all exposed to most tokens on the Base network. And although we haven't seen any public showings or public support from Coinbase or SHA or Jesse.base.eth, I feel like that is just around the corner. I feel like Foster's stuff that he writes on their tweets and quotes, they get the most traction. But that's just me. How do you guys feel about that? Out of those 75 million, obviously not everyone's going to get into crypto. It's just an option. But I think with that, you probably get a few big whales as well. And maybe a few of those go into OMI. What are you guys' thoughts on that partnership?
So what is Samsung doing again?
They're partnering with Coinbase. And basically, I don't know if you remember the Apple phone, one of the new Apple phones years ago, it was automatically downloaded with a U2 album. And nobody asked for it. It was just there.
Yeah, actually, I hated that. I have it's still in my freaking songs.
So maybe this could work in the opposite way, but yeah, supposedly they're going to just have just Coinbase downloaded on their stuff, whether people ask for it or not. I do feel like people will get a little curious about that because it's not just noise; it's an actual thing that could potentially make money, even though most people lose money on it.
It'll definitely onboard some people. There's this awesome book called Nudge. If you haven't read it, it's phenomenal. But
it's called Nudge.
Nudge, and it's all about default settings and how we as humans are pretty lazy. And so they did this study, for example, where the conclusion they came to is that most users, regardless of what they're using, will just accept the default and never deviate from whatever the default settings are, right? And so, and what I mean by that is, so they did these tests, right? So, for example, they went to this cafeteria, right, for elementary kids, and they rearranged the food items each day, right? So some days they put the brownies first, but then sometimes they put broccoli first or carrots first or something, right? What a food item first. And regardless of what the first food item was, that was the most purchased food item of the day, regardless of what it was.
That is wild that carrots outsell brownies.
Yeah. Yep. It was just it's this default thing, and people walk up and they're like, this is what I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to get this. And they start loading up their plate, and then all of a sudden the plate is full, and they're like, oh, I really don't have room for a brownie. I've already got this other stuff. You know what I mean? Like this is what I saw, and this is what I took first. Yeah, I mean, right. But this is what I'm saying, right? If you think about people who have 401ks, how many people actually go in and be like, I want a self-directed 401k? People don't do that. They're just like, listen, I'm going to pick, the investment year or whatever. This is when I retire. And so whatever it is, that's what I want. Right. And they don't want to deal with that. In your phone, Randy, on your phone, how many of the general settings have you actually changed? Right. You might have downloaded additional apps and stuff like that. But what about the apps that are already on there? Did you delete them? Right? Did you be like, I don't want these, or did you move them to the back, right, where you just don't see them? Most people, even me, those apps are just freaking on my front page, right? If I don't use them, I don't use them, but I haven't moved them. And so having Coinbase or Samsung, Coinbase right there as one of the apps, people are going to be like, I should take a look at this Bitcoin thing. Like, what's going on here? So like, it's obviously not going to be like a one-to-one, success rate on that, but like it'd probably be a pretty high amount of the users that end up looking into Coinbase and getting crypto curious, if you will.
Crypto curious.
Yeah.
Rain, you're on mute.
We got a super chat in from Kyle with a very interesting question.
It says, Rain and Randy, if you were forced to sell all your DeVe or OMI right now, which would you sell? You know that meme from like 2016 where it's like, oh, you're going to have like, or 2015, like next year's election, you're going to either have to vote for Bush or Clinton, and then it's Stewie Griffin with a gun in his mouth. I feel like I feel like being forced to pick between those two, like there's no, that's horrible. I don't know. I feel like that Stewie Griffin meme. Rain, you go first.
That is so mean, Kyle. It's such a mean question because like they cover different spectrums for me. So OMI, I don't think has as much upward price potential as DeVe does, but OMI is lower risk in my thought process. So I like the diversification there. So OMI is in like a space with digital collectibles, which I think is a narrative that does really well. And OMI's dominating that narrative. And then DeVe's higher risk, but way higher upside. And so having to choose to sell all of those, I don't know, maybe OMI, and I'd probably regret that because like DeVe's just higher risk. So if it doesn't come together, then OMI will outperform. But I wouldn't sell either of those. I'd sell my car first, and I'd just walk to the gym and walk to the store and ride my wife. Be like, baby, can I borrow your car? Because right now, like I wouldn't sell either. I'm just going to wait to see how that plays out.
My answer will play off kind of Doc's blurb that he had there, and in the same way that, I mean, for me, I don't know about everyone, but I think most people never forget like their first time, being biblical with someone. I feel like a lot of people kind of never forget like their first crypto, or at least the first crypto they go like all in on. And I would be selling at like a $500,000 loss if I sold OMI right now. So I probably not going to do that. I would probably have to keep the OMI because like there's people from the DeVe Telegram that like know me and like me and watch me, but I would lose like my audience also if I just sold all my OMI like that. Like, okay, why are we listening to Randy now? He's got no skin in the game. So I'd probably keep the OMI, even though I agree with Rain that the potential for DeVe, the ROI is bigger.
Well, listen, Devo Kyle, I also own OMI and DeVe, so I'm hurt by the fact that I was not included in this question. I don't know if you realize this, but there's 3 of us up here, actually. So I'm going to answer this as well. And it's because I don't have the skin of the game that Rain does with DeVe or that Randy does with OMI, right? And I would sell my OMI first, but because I think that the chance that DeVe pumps first is a lot higher because if you look at the roadmap, they said that they're going to be announcing their major partner this quarter, fourth quarter. And so if there's a lot of speculation as to who that is and if it is that exchange, and depending on what they're doing, and especially if crypto is starting to kind of be on the rise and stuff, it could have some significant movement there. So I'd sell my OMI first, but then I just buy more DeVe and then wait for DeVe to see if that pumped. And then if it pumped, I buy back my OMI and more. So that's my answer.
Heck yeah.
But I'm not selling, because I'm not forced to. I'm going to hold OMI because there's a chance that OMI pumps first or that DeVe does, I don't know. So I'm not making that play. But if I was forced to, that's the play I make.
When you use the word all, it's like, yeah, and it's like, Oh man, all of them. I wouldn't sell all of either of them. If I had to get some money, I'd probably sell some of each, right? I have way more Devi than I do OMI. So freeing up some money, I'd sell some Devi rather than OMI because I want way more of both, but I have so much Devi compared to what I have in OMI.
Mine's I am a little heavier in OMI, but I just put so much more money into that side. Yeah, that's true. I do have less value in Devi. So in order to replace that, it wouldn't be as much. But again, who knows what runs first? Again, Q4 though, end of Q4, waiting on that Devi.
Let's go, baby.
I mean, listen, I'm a little bit giddy, man. Like I feel like it's gonna happen, right? And it's like I think either something significant happens within the next 6 months, or it's just like not happening. and for whatever reason, I'm gonna sit back and take a look at my life and feel like, where did I go wrong? You know?
One of the big narratives that's hitting right now is like exchanges, even decentralized exchanges. Now, Devi's a little bit away from their decentralized exchange being built, but it's a decentralized exchange with T0 settlement time that will have the liquidity of a centralized exchange. So it's going to be crazy, and some big, supposedly a really big partner in it. So we'll see. Some of the exchange tokens, especially those that allow leverage and stuff, have gone crazy. I was looking at one on Wednesday that had done like a 200x in like 6 months. It's crazy.
Are you looking at Hyperliquid? Is that what you're talking about? Kind of like their perpetual.
I don't remember which one it was. It's relatively new one.
Yeah, Hyperliquid is relatively new. And basically, yeah, you can do like a lot of leverage trading, decentralized leverage trading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a.
Well, actually, is it? I think it's a little bit centralized. I don't know. I'd have to. Oh, Aster. Lenti is saying it's Aster that you're referring to. But
yeah, looking at the chart.
Hyperliquid's also done really
wow. So almost nothing has done 200x gains in the last like 6 months. We'll see more as things really pop off, and it's not usually a lot that make those kind of gains like that. But having one have already done that is incredible, and we'll see more. Now, if you have Aster, great time to be taking profits. It is not a great time to be buying when something's already up 200x. It's at a risky point because what does go up, like it comes into the narrative and then it goes out of the narrative. Just a warning.
Yeah, that's a lot. I would, if I had something and it went up, especially I don't know anything about Aster, but if it went up 30x, probably would have sold there. Like I will probably sell too early. But the people that held on and they're up 200x, my guys, good for you. We have a Sora. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that video generator, AI or any video generator. So they had a incredible thing released last week, and it was. I'll show you an example of a video that people were. This is one of my favorites.
Oh, this is wild stuff, man.
So it's the guy playing the Mario Kart, and then they're chasing Mario.
No way.
And it looks so good. That one's like one of my favorites. There's another one where they, God rest his soul, they took Stephen Hawking and they like had him like drop in on a half pipe in his wheelchair and do like this crazy flip, and he landed on his face, and people come in like a pit crew trying to change his wheels like after he crashed.
Well, did you see the one where he's racing in NASCAR, right? And like Stephen Hawking's wheelchair is like hanging with like the NASCARs, you know? Like, or it's got like Einstein in like a WWE outfit, like walking out right to like do some wrestling, and like it's insane. Like and honestly, you're just laughing like the whole time. Or like Peter Griffin, like it looks like a real Peter Griffin, you know, like he's sitting there talking, and I mean, dude, it's so realistic too. Like the discussions have been like how for the longest time, right, in like trials and everything, where like they would use video evidence as substantial proof that this occurred now, right? But like, what do you do if someone's like, that's AI? Prove that it's not AI.
That's hard.
I think that whoever's showing the film has to be able to prove that it's not AI. And like, how do you do that, right? Like that's gonna be because
The only
we're
chance you have
trained.
is having
Our
things
our
live
evolution
streamed
is that
and
we're
put
trained to
on
believe what we see.
Yeah, you almost blockchain is the only chance of video stamping, like authenticity. It's the only chance, right? Because other than that, like you won't be able to believe your eyes anymore.
Yeah, which that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
That's also fun, right? Like Mario Kart, that was so funny being chased by Lisa and the banana. Oh my gosh. Dude, we would have died like as kids, right? Like seeing that kind of stuff and seeing that was in the future. Oh my gosh, we would have laughed for like 2 months. I would have been in like 4th grade and just laughing during like social studies class. Like, why are you laughing? Oh my gosh, I saw this video. And they wouldn't know what to think about it because I'd be describing something in the future and they're like, you can't do that. Like, no, they'll never be able to do that.
Just wait.
There's these videos that someone created of cats scaring away like black bears and grizzly bears before they eat babies on the porch, you know? Like, and I legit, when I first was watching them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's great. Like I bought it. Yeah, I bought it, you know? And until one of them, like, I was like, like that seemed like that was off. Like there was a little bit something off there, but like the first few videos, I legit thought were real videos, you know. And then as it kind of got on, I was like, and then I can't even remember how I found out that it was Sora, you know. But I was like, oh man, that's crazy. And so I kind of went down that rabbit hole and we saw some pretty funny. Man, the creativeness already of people is pretty freaking. Oh, it was who was it? So Sam Altman, they did a video of Sam Altman, who like he is the CEO of OpenAI, which created Sora, right? And a video is him from it looks like security footage camera, and he's stealing a GPU from like Best Buy or something like that, right? And they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I need the processing power for Sora. I need the processing power for my AI. I just need it, you know." And it just looks so real, and you're just like, "What, dude? That's so crazy." It's pretty funny.
Maybe that's how we'll do our music video, Doc.
Dude, we actually probably could. Like that'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can take our picture, right? You just like upload your face, and then you can just say use this face, you know, or like our body or whatever like that, and then you can totally tell it to make a music video, man. You and just already have like the song there, dude. That'd be wild.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's gonna fool people. I even a few months ago, earlier this year, when you could kind of clearly tell that it was AI, Tammy would be like, "Hey, look at this video." I'd be like, "That's AI, Tammy," and she's like, "Oh, really?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." So now we're especially when you have now on TikTok, you have to have the tag that says contains AI generated media. But here's what the White House posted one day ago on their official TikTok.
Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even
excuse the language, that's it. But this is from the White House, like their official account. So you have everyone getting in on the fun. But after this, speaking of Peter Griffin, here's me and Peter Griffin 9 years ago. I actually met the real life Peter Griffin. Yeah, that was fun. But speaking of this, there was so much third-party IP on there, and everyone was like losing their minds. So Sora had to block off the third-party IPs on Sora, and apparently it had become, according to Theo has 250,000 followers over on X. It had become way less fun. So that tweet was requoted by Foster Hill. saying, I have a thesis about IP and brand legitimacy that makes me mega bullish on the licensed digital collecting space. I believe AI will transform many aspects of daily life, and I'm excited about many of its developments and advances. Recently, OpenAI released Sora, and social media was immediately flooded with incredible AI-generated content featuring the world's biggest brands and IPs. And I had two thoughts. This opens up a world of possibilities, and this is not going to last. Within 3 days, Sora had significantly restricted users' ability to generate content with third-party brands and IP. Regardless of opinions about this decision, the speed of these restrictions supports my thesis. Brand recognition and permanency matter enormously. AI has made so many things possible for the first time or dramatically easier than before. New AI-generated products and creations emerge faster than anyone can track. But here's a critical question. People can create anything at the click of a button. What makes something hold value? What makes it special? The answer, in my opinion, is brand and IP rights, which VeVe has in spades. AI can make almost anything you want, but it can't legally infringe on established creators and creations that hold permanence. This is one of the few areas where AI cannot create or improve because you can't create or improve what you don't have the rights to. For better or worse, licensed brands and IPs have withstood the test of time because they control access, evolution, distribution. They're interested in ensure the growth and sustainability of these brands, and I believe this will continue over time, and that's why I'm bullish on licensed digital collecting platforms like VeVe. And that goes to, I made a video on this a few days ago. Roblox announced a few months back they're not going to do what Fortnite did and try to negotiate with all these licenses to make games on their platform. They're just going to go to people that already have those licenses to make those games. And because VeVe, and they mentioned like everyone and their sister except for VeVe, and I don't know why, but VeVe doesn't necessarily need a partnership with Roblox. They could just go and have AI say, hey, we have the rights to all these licenses, build a game on there for us, and then they go in and they do it. Just what's your guys' thoughts on that? Copy that.
Well, that's interesting using AI to build stuff. I wonder if you can be like, I've got this Todd McFarlane Batman. I own the rights to number 172 of it, and I want you to use this in OpenAI, and I wonder if you can do that. That'll be interesting. I don't know. Because does the rights extend to platforms beyond VeVe? I don't know that it does. But ownership of brands, like what's funny is like it's hard to see in the future exactly what 3D generated content is going to be like, how it's used, how digital collectibles are used. I have a feeling VeVe adapt with this space as it goes crazy. I think VeVe is going to do really good in this bull run. I think they're going to be flush with money, and they'll continue to develop and adapt for how people are actually using it. So whether that's metaverses, whether it's like being able to decorate your house, so with your glasses you can also, as you walk through it, see like, you know, your VeVe collectibles on your house, and when your friends come through they can see it too. I don't know what it looks like, but I do know one of the reasons I've invested a lot into VeVe and OMI is these are huge brands that everyone knows and loves. So it's just a lower risk investment from a standpoint of, I think digital collectibles are the future, and they have some of the biggest brands in the world, like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and general like Marvel stuff, Disney. So those are some of the biggest brands in the space.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things and one of the reasons I've always been very bullish on VeVe, right? Is because of the IP. And so their ability to utilize that IP, I've always thought that one of the strongest use cases for their digital collectibles was to have a skin in the games tied to your NFT. I feel like that's a pretty easy API to integrate. And it's going to happen at some point, whether it's VeVe first or someone else, but it's going to freaking happen. And that's where then I think that's one of the ways that if that happens during this bull run, that VeVe and OMI's token will skyrocket, right? Because November 20th or November 19th, you know, you're gonna have to use OMI to purchase these collectibles, and all of a sudden if they have that IP tied to those games and people want that skin, that's freaking sick, like amazing Spider-Man Noir or something, you know, like that, you know, or even the Marvel Mighties. I actually think that would be pretty epic to see some of those Marvel Mighties in some of these games. You know what I mean? Because you haven't seen them there before, and so those would really stand out as opposed to even just like your Spider-Man, right? Because everyone's like, oh yeah, I've seen the Spider-Man, but like a Spider-Man little Marvel Mighty going around, be like, you know, like Fortnite or something like that, would be a pretty big deal. Like I think about, you know, James Bond, like 007 and freaking Odd Job. And what a freaking like hack that was to be that dude, because it was so hard to freaking shoot, you know what I mean? So you're out there with like Marvel Mighties like running around like Thor, you know. I don't know, but like I just imagine that, and like it would be a pretty sweet flex. Yeah, and the interesting thing that will happen is certain collectibles could also take on like significant value where they wouldn't have before, you know. Because maybe that collectible just looks awesome as a skin in this game, or it's really unique or something like that. And so, you know, all of a sudden you're running around with a Murmacorno, you know, like, I don't know, like very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, playability is a big thing with collectors. Hitmonchan, I don't know if that's anyone's favorite like Pokemon, but he was so playable because he is a basic Pokemon. So stage 1, you could play him first. You don't have to evolve him. In the first gen, second gen, obviously you had Tyrogue and all that, but he had 70 health, and it cost 1 energy to do an attack. So he was good. And if you get something like you're talking about, like She-Hulk, who's really not liked, unfortunately, I love her. If you give her some like real playability with special stats, like she can Hulk out, yeah, and she's just as good as the Hulk, value might go insane. Again, we're just speculating here.
Yeah.
Speaking of speculating, and we'll do one more thing before we get to OMI. I speculated on this, and I feel like Thanos, where they called me a madman. Julian Montoya says there's only ever gifts for gold logo holders, and there was definitely a gift for having 10 million OMI on the app. You got the Secret Comey logo. And there was gifts for Rocket Blockchain gave away, I think, featured logos or something for having a Murmacorno. So it's really not all just with the logo, but I understand where you're coming from, where most of the gifts from the company come because of holding a logo. David had teased a while ago that we would get a coin, some type of coin from Agoro, which is a coin company over in New Zealand. And everyone said, no, that'll never happen. But he confirmed in a video either late last night or earlier today that we will be getting them. They are precious. There are precious metals in them. We don't exactly know the value of them yet. I'm going to wager a couple $100 at least per one. Have you guys seen it?
I did see the video, man, and it looks and I'll say, like, the guy who was looking at that was like, is that like real gold? You know, like, and David said, yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's plated in gold. It's silver, and then I think plated in gold. So I don't know idea what the value can be, but I'm assuming a couple hundred to maybe several hundred. But I don't know if this is one of those things where it could take on a life of its own, because even if the legal tender is a couple $100, I just say between like 3 and 6, let's say like 4 or 5. Just because of the scarcity of it, you know, there's only going to be 500 of them. The scarcity of it, people might be able to sell it for a bit more than that, just because there's so few of them. As of right now, me and Doc are getting 3. Doc, you selling any of them?
Yeah, I'll probably sell one. That's why I have 3 logos, so that I can maybe sell one.
Yeah.
You know, like when you get 3, like if you only have one, then like when I only had one, I didn't sell my stuff, right? I was like,
sell it, yeah.
I can't sell this, you know. But that's why I had multiple, so that you know, if there was something where I was like, listen, I can let go of one. Also, it helped me with like potentially getting better mint numbers on different gifts and stuff like that. So yeah, like I'll probably sell one. So if you guys are interested, hit me up. Maybe we can cut a deal.
So what about you, Rain? How do you feel about the, depending on how much it is, like, is that something that could bring a bunch of momentum to VeVe and OMI? Be like, hey, look what we got. We got an extra thing that's worth $500 in legal tender, not just an NFT that could potentially have an inflated price just of scarcity, but an actual thing that you could sell in real life just for the contents of the actual gift.
You know, like if you think about it, like why has VeVe done so well? And some of it was timing, but some of it is the founders are just cool guys. And with brands evolving, like Procter and Gamble is this nameless, faceless entity, right? That like you don't really know who the executives are and stuff. It's not a brand that people are really behind. Like nobody's like, yeah, Tide, they're my favorite. Let me decorate my house with Tide. But like VeVe, part of the reason VeVe is so passionate, or the community is so passionate, is because they believe in the leaders. This just further cements, like they didn't have to do this. This was just like a nice surprise, a huge give, which is, I guess, just further builds faith in the founders and like value in the community itself. So I think that, you know, I'm kind of shocked, especially if the value is several $100 in precious metals. Like, yeah, you know, I guess surprised. And I think that's cool. I think it's a big deal. Is that itself going to kick off momentum for digital collectibles and stuff? No, but I think it further cements certain people to VeVe for forever, especially people that, especially those that made the sacrifice to buy their gold and silver logos. It really just further cements in their decision that they did that.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'll say this, like I have thoroughly, like I've already gotten the value that I feel like I paid for these gold and silver logos in the gifts that we've gotten, you know, to date. Like just there's so many things in like access, you know, like this is David's baby, man, and he cares. And like I've gotten real FaceTime with David and Dan because I'm a gold and silver logo holder. Like I definitely that definitely weighs into their willingness to chat with people. You know, they're like, okay, these people vested, you know, they're vested in this project and they're holding this. And so, yeah, I think it's something to consider, which is why, I mean, listen, there's one guy in the gold and silver logo group now. He has 10. He has 10 of them. This is wild, you know? So yeah, like I've loved it. And, you know, who was that? Who said that? That it seems like you're really only getting it from, where did it go? Where they basically, oh yeah, there it is, Julian Montoya, right? Like, there's only ever gifts for logo holders. Well, like they've been very transparent that like they're gonna give gifts to logo holders, which is why like I purchased them off the market, right? Like, my first two, like I got those and paid for them because I was just like they said that there was gonna be gifts and so I wanted to have those gifts and had to pay for it.
And speaking of those gifts, when and maybe this is probably a little bit different for everyone, but if you ever grew up poor and you were living pretty skint, like kind of paycheck to paycheck, treating yourself as like maybe a soda. But once the money starts coming in, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get sushi. I'm gonna get avocado. I'm gonna get the extra side of like you would never get the extra side of anything. You would barely even go out when you're poor. And the reason I bring this up, the parallel I'm trying to draw, is that VeVe's been running very, very lean for the last couple of years, and the money's about to get crazy. What do you think is going to happen to the value of the gifts that they're going to give their most loyal customers? Do you think that value is going to go down? Is it going to stay the same? Or is the value of the gifts going to go up as more money comes into their pockets? I know David and Dan, I think the value is going to go up a little bit because, again, not only one, do they want to give back and they're great people, but also that's going to increase the value of the logos. And I'm telling you guys right now, the people, the executives of other companies recognize where they fall or where their best NFTs fall in the secondary market. and there are not many that surpass the value of a gold and silver logo. And other companies are aware of that. So just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, interesting point. Shout out to Stardust Run. He's an old friend of mine, and we were just texting. We're on totally different time zones, so we don't always connect up. He got moved, the other side of the world. But we're longtime friends. We go way back. He came to my wedding like 9 years ago. So it was fun to see a text from him right as we were going on. I love that guy.
Yeah, so I met him through Rain just a couple of years ago, and met him in person. And, like, such a phenomenal guy. Love that guy. So I was serious with him. Like, man, I miss him. Like, haven't been able to chat with him much at all. So it's great to see him here.
Yeah, same. Logo's currently 4,400. 4,400 in gems and like 4,300 in OMI. So there's really only kind of like 5 left. Because after those 5, between the 4 and 6K, then it goes to like 9K, and I don't think anyone's going to buy that right now. Maybe after that. Miss you guys too. Thank you.
You make an interesting point. I didn't even expect the gifts that they've done, but if you think about it, all the gold and silver logo gifts, but also those for the first collectors that reached level 100, like that was a surprise gift that they did in the package, and they had like came in a box and everything was really amazing, and they continue to get gifts for having reached that spot. Like it's really cool, some of the cool things that they're doing.
Heck yeah. One of the other things that they're doing, even though this is technically a Comey, is the OMI giveaways. In September, if you had purchased a certain amount of stuff and you got the top 25 in leaderboards on there for OMI burn, you were given, I mean, they gave away 100 million OMI, which is about $30,000. And in the future, they have 100 million to give away this month as well. I don't know how long they do it for. They probably only need to do it until the bull market kind of hits. But when OMI 10X's, they'll be able to say, yeah, we gave away over $250,000 in our first month, because that's what it'll be. I remember seeing some of these video game tournaments years ago, where if you won the like 4th or 5th prize was like 25 Bitcoin, that was worth like $50. And they can go back and say like, yeah, we gave away, a couple $1 million worth of Bitcoin back in like 2012, and I think it's a really good marketing technique. How long do you guys think they should, when the bull market comes in, do you think they should continue with the 100 million OMI giveaway, or lower that down to like 10 million or 5 million, depending on what the price hits?
Like, that's a really generous giveaway. Like, that comes from like generosity, and there's some self-interest there in building the StackR platform and stuff, which is cool. But like that is a really big giveaway. I mean, that amount of OMI, like I think OMI does much better than 10x in the coming bull run. So it's like what they're giving away has significant value to really see people using StackR. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think if OMI starts to significantly pump, I mean, if they're giving that much away, you better believe there's going to be crazy hype to it. You know what I mean? It would bring in even more people if they were doing something like that. So that's kind of what the war chest is there for, So if it brings in a ton of users and creates more OMI burn and stuff, it helps everyone, and especially Dan and David with their holdings too. So yeah, that would be insane.
So speaking of StackR, they had a reply. I'm not 100% sure who runs the account. They had a reply to someone, and Mr. Mav saying StackR World Marketplace will have trading volumes that will run circles around today's Web3 marketplaces. IP digital assets, time is coming, buckle up. And you have a guy named Bobby Sat saying, not without self-custody. Whether you agree or disagree with him, I personally disagree, but you have StackR replying saying, is it too early to say soon? to the not without self custody. So they're teasing self custody, and I don't know how they're going to do it, because if OpenSea can't guarantee the royalties, like I don't think Disney's just going to be cool with them going on a platform that's not going to guarantee their 6%. So in order for them to do that, they probably would have to guarantee it, and I don't know how. But if we can get self custody, I think you see a bunch of ETH rich whales and Solana rich whales. Anyone that is rich want to get first appearance Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Mickey Mouse. One, how do you guys think this might be possible? Maybe the person that runs the StackR account was on Ambien, or do you think that even if that does happen, what does that do to the collectibles and OMI in conjunction with that?
Well, what's funny is one of VeVe's biggest strengths is also a weakness. Like, some people argue for self-custody, but a lot of the non-crypto people are not ready for self-custody. They want a login and password, and they want reversibility. And so it is the ETH whales, right, that are purists about, like, hey, no, if it doesn't have self-custody, I'm not interested. So if they're able to do both, because the centralized system is what people are used to. And if you're having to teach people tons of new habits in order to get your product is usually doomed to fail. Now, when there's massive money there, people will learn how to go through a bunch of hoops to try to get that money. So maybe some companies have survived, even though they had a whole bunch of hoops that people had to jump through to get it. But it isn't normal. Part of VeVe's strength was in 2021 that it was simple, that people could download the app, create a login, and they could then buy with a credit card, and they didn't have to worry about self-custody. So in a perfect world, they'll be able to allow you to self-custody it or continue to keep it in a centralized system, because most people are just going to want a centralized system. Why? Login and password is all that they want to have to keep track of.
Yeah, I had not seen that. I had to retweet that out, man. That's pretty big. And so yeah, how do they do that, right? Like without I don't know how they do. I'll put it this way. I don't know how they do that on Immutable X or Ether, right? Like, or Ethereum. So like I don't know any blockchains where they can guarantee that. So, like, and I speculated before about like, do they at some point in time have their own blockchain? But does that make sense? And who's going to do that? Like, I don't know. So like, yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around that actually. But if it's interoperable, man, then that solves all, like, it was funny. I tweeted out, so you know how they had that meme competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have resurfaced it at the time that they did it. I just didn't think about it, but like, hold on just a sec. Let me show this.
Why is it when there's a problem, it's always you three? Is that one?
I love that one. No, but it was one that I did way back in the day in 2023, so 2 years ago. So like VeVe posts the thing, and they're like, "Oh, the short list is here," and I was like, "I still think that mine should have been considered, right?" Like, and it was what it was this post. And it's just like, 2023, for those who remember, that was like the height of fudders. They were holding spaces all the time. Like, it was like, it was crazy, right? And I posted this, all these people. And if you can read that little caption, right? Yes, you were all wrong. Right, because they were like, VeVe's a rug pull, it's a slow rug, it's all this stuff, and here we are in 2025, right? Like, and it's just laughable. And you know what? That post that post had 27,000 impressions. That post got from that. It's not bad, right? In 2023. VeVe didn't respond to that. But I mean, listen, man, we're talking about memes. Number one, that had some pretty significant traction. But to that point, man, like, there's a reason why we host this show. OMI is my homie, right? Like, and like why we leaned into the FUD, right? And you get these people, and it's like, yeah, they're just emotional, right? Everything they say is emotional because they bought at the top and then it didn't go their way. And listen, I like I said, I bought a lot of VeVe stuff in OMI thinking that when Dan and David said that it, like, you know, that things were going to be interoperable, and I was looking at what Bored Ape was doing, and I was like, well, I mean, Batman, the first Batman on the blockchain, is going to freaking crush these ape JPEGs, you know, and it didn't happen. But I believed at the time, and I still believe, right, that it was eventually going to happen. And what I believe still is that we have had a prolonged season of extremely low prices and opportunities to get some of the first IPs to ever be on the blockchain. And if VeVe becomes a thing, if digital collectibles become a thing, you better freaking believe that these will have significant historical value. And because of that, will be valued highly. Not all of them, but some of them. And I can't guess which ones for sure are going to do that. But I'm pretty sure the Todd, for me, is one of those that I think that long-term. So like, yeah, this is the reason why we're here. And we talk about these things. Like, first of all, the community is amazing and everything, but like, it's our chance to kind of combat some of the FUD in like where we don't have to like get into these like arguments with people that just like are, you can't argue with emotional people first and foremost, right? And then they just like digress into personal attacks, which then proves my point that they just don't have the emotional intelligence to handle the fact that like they can't admit to themselves that a lot of the things that they're saying is because they're upset, you know, about things, and they can't own their decisions and say, how can I learn from this? And I made that decision. I looked at that and I said, okay, I haven't seen this interoperability. I put a lot of money into this. Do I still see this happening, or do I need to walk away? Right. And I was like, I still see this happening. I looked at Dan and David, and they like some of the things that they said were going to happen have not happened in the time that they alluded to, but a lot of them have happened. A lot of them have happened, you know, and especially from 2023 with all of this stuff. And we even had this FUD with, you know, the ending cash out with, you know, and the whole gems thing. And people are just like, I'm leaving. And the person, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, all these OGs are leaving. I was like, that OG has been out of VeVe for freaking a year and a half. You know, and now he's saying he's leaving again. It's just like, you're selling the 5 collectibles you had left. Like, okay, you know what I mean? But like, and listen, like, I wish them the best, right? Like there's no, just because someone leaves VeVe, like, I don't think that they're an idiot, or like, you know, I hope that people aren't getting that. But like, I guess my whole point is that there will always be FUD in every project. There was FUD at Bored Ape. There's FUD in Doodles. There was FUD in Pudgy Penguins. You know, but right now Pudgy Penguins are at the top. But you better believe in a year when people brought it at the top and then it's not doing better, that there's going to be FUDders there, right? And they're going to be saying that Pudgy Penguins are a rug, or that everything's a rug. And all we can do is talk about things that we think are undervalued. And I do believe that at this point in time, digital collectibles have not hit the narrative. They're undervalued. But if they hit interoperability and you can keep those royalties and keep the IP happy, maybe we do start to get airdrops and some other things with this from this IP. And like, I don't know, man, I'm super bullish on it. So there we go.
That was a fun blast from the past of why we started this. But it was back in that time, like, blockchain gaming really had a run that came out of the blue in October of 2023. And digital collectibles didn't really do anything. And people are like, oh, OMI's not doing anything. It's terrible. And in that environment, we created OMI as my homie, because almost like that post that Doc had, where we're just like, the FUD was just so loud. And I was like, you know what? I don't want people who are part of the VeVe community to listen to all these people because they're so loud, it may seem like they know what they're talking about, and they don't. None of those people really understand buying low and selling high, which is the key principle of investing and making money. And that's almost when the best deals happen, is when everyone's like so loud against it. And often when you're doing the right things, it'll look just like that tweet Doc showed, where there'll be you and maybe a few other people and then thousands telling you you're wrong. Because if you're doing things right, you're buying low, which means in a low environment, everyone's selling and you're one of those people buying. So everyone will be telling you you're doing the wrong thing. And if you're selling high, that means you're selling when everyone's buying. And so you're literally doing what the opposite of what 95% of people are doing. So we wanted to create this show and like stand up for something that was just getting pummeled by all these people. They're just new to this space and they thought they knew what they were talking about, and they were just regurgitating what everyone else was saying. And they really don't understand the key principle of buy low, sell high. And like, there wasn't a legitimate reason that we could see that VeVe was going to fail. And if VeVe didn't fail, OMI was likely to do extremely well. And we're going to be shown to be right on that.
I think why this was kind of needed at the time was because you see a lot of knee-jerk reactions in every part of society, whether it's like, hey, this tragedy happened, so we have to, in Congress, have a knee-jerk reaction to really ward against future things, and they wind up taking liberties and freedoms. And you have people even in just debates, when you run out of arguments that get debunked, a lesser person will want to go to blows or stick to insults because they can't combat your arguments in that way. And what I think people don't understand about a lot of fighters is that if you have the proclivity to feel one negative emotion more strongly than others, then you have the proclivity to feel all of those negative emotions. And if they're doing that just in crypto is supposed to be fun, and granted, it's not really fun when you're losing money, but if they're having these knee-jerk reactions and they're really feeling like frustrated and anger, and they're selling out of those frustrations, they're making those decisions not based on logic, they're making it out of emotion. You see that in relationships, you see that in people in general. And when there's so many of that, you need to have a counter to it. And I think this counter that we've created of the hey, let's try to break it down logically, and let's try to say, like, has the thesis of the company changed? You know, are they still making money? What's going on? Is there actually new competition out there? Let's take a look. Hopefully, when Thanos is talking to Tony Stark in Infinity War, he says, "I hope they remember you, Stark." I hope they remember us for that. I hope that's something that sticks with people. Or even if they don't remember us or what they said, I hope they remember the tenets of the lessons that we've tried to pass on.
That's what I hope. What I love about, like, collectibles are fun, but what I love is things that go up in value, and things that go up in value follow certain patterns. And most of them go like this. And one of the keys that most people do wrong is they buy when everyone's buying something. So when everyone's going crazy about it, and it's the thing that everyone's talking about, and the people that understand investments, they're selling in that environment, not buying, because they were buying when everyone was doing the opposite. So some of these VeVe collectibles, like, they're an amazing deal. Like right now, still, a lot of money hasn't flown in this market yet. Now, later when it's going crazy, it's not the time to load up. That is the time to be taking profit. And you'll be selling when all these people are pouring in. And it will feel weird because everyone will be doing, it'll feel like everyone will be doing the opposite. And that's probably when you're doing things right. It is only almost a lonely world sometimes. Once you really get this, you'll feel kind of lonely sometimes, because if you're looking for people that tell you you're doing the right thing, most people won't get it. Like, they will be like, you're crazy. Nobody is doing that. And it's like, well, that's not true, but only the 5%ers are doing it. That part is true.
The air is
You
much
know,
thinner up here.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I remember, oh my gosh, you should see the comments on like, I mean, let's see. Like, I don't know if I ever like hid some of the comments. Like it was brutal, man. Like,
That's such a good tweet too. I love it because that's gonna age really well.
yeah, like, but it's cool, right? There were certain people that like definitely were like, nah, like I got your back. You're not alone. You know what I mean? Like there were some stalwarts. It would be interesting to see if those people are still here, you know? But yeah, it looks like I probably deleted a lot of the other comments, right? That were personal attacks and things. Just call me an idiot or whatever. But like regardless of whether or not they remember us for it, Randy, like there's certain things that we just do because I think it's important to do, you know. And listen, we spend our time when we talk about these things, partly because like we love this community, but yeah, like we also want to inform people and provide like a rational perspective. And I think that we all have been very successful in different aspects of our lives with things, right? Like, I mean, Rain has been very successful in crypto. I've done very, very well for myself in traditional finance world. And so like, and Randy, you freaking crushed it with Pokemon. And I mean, at one point, we're a multimillionaire with OMI, right? And I look at the community you've built now and like all of these other communities that you've like attached yourself to and sold equity in your channel, right? Like, and I think it's important to have these perspectives, and it's kind of fun because like Randy, I would say out of all of us is definitely the most. He's the last to. I don't want to call it attacking VeVe because I don't think that we attack VeVe, but like we point out things that we're not happy about. Randy's kind of like, well, and that's okay, right? Like you get these different perspectives on things, and it's great, right? Where sometimes I go on these emotional rants, like when I went on Randy's channel when I thought that they'd erased, the Matt Groening signature, and I was like, I'm out, bro. Like I was tripping out, but like, I hope that you guys enjoy this, right? And you get that perspective, and yeah, like for those who stay, my belief is that we will be handsomely rewarded at some point down the line. You know what I mean? And it'll be great because listen, there's been a lot of great OMI and VeVe influencers over the years, right? But who's still here? That matters. I think that matters. And I think that history will look upon this and I think that we will be able to go and say like, okay, like who sat there through all these years, you know? If VeVe does a Netflix special and stuff, they're gonna look at like, okay, here's their early onset, but then who through the FUD years stayed, right? And man, I think that we are one of the very, very few channels out there that have been as consistent, whether it was first around the Economiverse, and then, look, we lost one of the people from around the Economiverse, right? They lost faith in it, and they just were like their timeline. And this is one of the things that we told Jordan early on. It's just like, you're too heavily concentrated in OMI, man. That is not safe. That is not safe. And then he got tired of waiting. He needed money now. And like the money that he had put in, he needed to see returns. And he saw returns everywhere else. And now he's chasing SPX 69,000 or whatever that is. And I wish him the best. I do. That guy was awesome. And nothing but great things to say about Jordan. But like, he lost the vision here. And that happens, you know, like it's mentally tough and emotionally draining to see different projects pop up at different times and to see your token just go down and down, right? But if VeVe becomes a thing, I think that OMI and VeVe are going to do very, very well, and we'll be able to look back and see at the end of the day who outperformed who.
There's a video that was made like 15 years ago, or at least was uploaded to YouTube 15 years ago. It was a 11-minute video narrated by Tom Hanks about boat lift, about how on 9/11 they evacuated like 500,000 people from the island of Manhattan, and one of the guys there that he had a he had a big like party boat, and tells his wife, I'm going to go help with the evacuation. And his wife's like, what if there's another attack? And he's like, what do we tell our children? It's like, you never want to go through life saying you should have. And since that's always stayed with me. And since then, I feel like I've read and consumed great literature and content and internet, just videos from manga, anime, and they're replete with characters that let opportunities pass them by. And what I try to inculcate in people here, and clients as well, is that you can't let those opportunities pass you by. And if I were to not go all in on crypto, then I'm not the man who I thought I was or who I want to be. Because I don't think, if there was something else out there that could make more money at a better rate, that's probably where I'd be. I mean, if you want to deal crack, sure, but there's a very, very big risk to that, and you go to jail, like hardcore jail. You're not. You could lose in crypto, sure, but you're not gonna go to jail for investing. Anyway, I feel like we've gone on this. Ethan Mascarenas, Rain is probably like 100x more, like 100x more value on his ROI. He's got a lot more invested. Lentiza, thanks guys, every Tuesday. Oh, we can buy you guys a beer one day. If we go broke, buy you guys a handshake. That's fair. Special handshake. Speaking of special, David Yu says that, he doesn't say, he posts that a picture with 50 Cent at an airport. Could we be getting 50 Cent on VeVe? We'd be getting more music as opposed to Ron English stuff. What do you guys think?
It'd be fun is if the backstory of that is 50 Cent recognized David Yu and been like, yo, what's up? I need a picture with you.
That would be so funny. Like, listen, it could get to that point, right? You know what I mean? Like,
it will get to that point.
Think about this. Okay, let's say digital collectibles become the thing that we think it's going to be, right? And that it's a household name.
And
I think
people are doing his social flex.
A significant stuff. Yeah, I think a significant, like, just like with Bored Apes, you had Paris Hilton, Jimmy Fallon, Neymar owning Bored Apes. I think that celebrities will be owning VeVe Gold and Silver logos, right? And that those parties will be crazy. So when Randy's sitting there saying, oh, like, what are these gold and silver logo holders going to get? Well, if the price of a gold and silver logo is, $150K, $200K, right? Like, you better believe that the gifts that people are getting are going to be pretty phenomenal. Or even because at that point, people are using it for access, right? Like, and for the social flex, right? Now I'm in this elite group of people, and we have this annual party, and these are the people who are showing up to this party. So, I mean, again, this is rampant speculation, and a lot of things would have to go right for that. But like, is there a future in which that happens? Absolutely, that could happen. So,
Doc, I think you're being called out here. He was saying Cavell can pull you away doing a handstand.
Can Cavell do handstands?
Yeah, bro.
I don't think I can do a handstand.
Well, listen, man, I'll take you up on a bet on that. Yeah,
I'll bet my entire OMI bag on that.
That's so funny. Like, no, and that's been fun. Listen, guys, it's been fun. I really have been getting back into gymnastics and things, and it has been a blast for me. I competed when I was younger. I ended up taking third in state overall, but it just consumed my life. I was legitimately going to the gym Monday through Friday, 3 to 9. And one day I show up at school and everyone's talking about this birthday party of my best friend that I wasn't invited to. And I was like, yo, what the heck, bro? And he's like, I just knew that you wouldn't be able to make it because you were gymnastics. And that's when I was like, well, I'm not going to be an Olympian. So I think I'm out. I think I'm done, but getting back into it has been awesome. As I've been getting back into shape and doing all these things, I'm working now on trying to be able to do a round off double backflip. That's the new thing that I'm working on. So we'll see how that goes. But Speaking of freaking people who have stood through all the FUD, Crypto Cosmo, who just stacked 700 Marvel comic #1s, right? Like, that's a significant statement about your belief in something, right? To stack that many of something. And he and I were talking the other day, and he's like, I don't know, like, how am I going to offload during the bull run, 700 of these suckers? And I said, at the end of the day, you don't have to, because listen, during the last bull run, these things were valued at $700 to $800. So I'm like, you sell 50 of those things, and you've covered all of your expenses and already are in profit. You know what I mean? And depending on what min numbers you have or different things like that, you never know. You never know, right? But like, yeah, sometimes it is kind of like a slower burn, but like each time, man, you're selling one for something like that. Like that's some significant cash flow. So.
And when he sells it, it won't be for gems. It'll be for OMI, because in November you have that. So he's going to sell for crypto and don't have to worry about cash out. Yeah, that's going to be great. Doc, I know you have to bounce. So one last question here. The Whatnot partnership. They sold a decent amount of product on their first day in their store. They did not hold a live stream. Those live streams will apparently be conducted on, I don't know if it's going to be every Thursday and Sunday, but at least the Thursday and Sunday of New York Comic Con. There was some dude that bought $37,000 worth of stuff at the actual DCon. Like, it was one person, and they just cleaned him out. It was like Michael Jackson going into that store in New York and just like, oh, I need one of those. I need one of those. Do you have these in green? I'll take that. I don't care. And it's like, a piece is missing. I don't care. The dude just went ham on it. Again, supposedly live streams will start this week at New York Comic Con. What did you guys think of the partnership? And were you guys a little disappointed on what they did because there wasn't a live stream? Did you pay much attention to it? It was like, it's just another thing.
Well, yeah, I'll say my piece and then I gotta go. But like, I was disappointed that it wasn't a live stream. I think that's part of the fun of Whatnot. You know, like, I mean, on the few times that I've tried to participate in a Whatnot, yeah, like it's fun to be able to interact and people are, shouting out your name as you're putting in bids or whatever. That's part of the fun. But is that just like, I'm like, oh, like this is ruined? Like, no, right? Like, they're gonna do a live stream. I saw that they sold those VeVe, the purple heart pins, right? But I don't know what else. I don't know what else they got that they sold there. But in general, listen, if this is another revenue stream and another way to bring attention to VeVe, I think that's a good thing. And especially if it's not a big outlay of cash to do that, right? Like, there is a significant fan base on Whatnot. And so people can see that and they'll like the physical collectibles and things. And then that might get them, VeVe curious, so. Listen, with that, Rain, Randy, you guys are the best. I heart you guys. I'm excited to hang out with you at VeVe DCon or Vegas DCon. That's going to be a freaking blast. Yeah, and so Randy, I'm going to see you at New York Comic Con. Rain, I'm going to miss you there. But I'm going to be heading out there. So, but I'll just be there for a couple of days. But I heart you, fam. I hope you guys have a fantastic night, and we'll see you later.
I can't wait. Love you. All right, man. Yeah, Ethan Mascarena's Doc is makes a lot of money. He's older, smarter, and a little more experienced in the adult world. So he's got me beat there too. I surprised these two let me chill with them every week. Good morning, Triforce. Hello. What's up, Bill Gardner? How's it going? He'll be there on Friday. Rain, do you want anything from New York Comic Con? Want to go there? Nothing picked up?
No.
Cool.
Yeah, I won't make it this year. I made it last year, which was a lot of fun. So I'll be a little bit sad that weekend, but I will be at DCon, which will be fun. Packaging dude will be there. I'm excited to see him. He's my twin from another mother, especially when he wears his shades. And we
He's
have
got
our VeVe leather jackets. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got are you staying with him?
Yeah, Miss Rain will be there as well, so make sure you say hi to her. She loves the VeVe family.
Heck yeah. I think Bam Bam's staying there too, so y'all have like a party.
That'll be fun. Maybe I'm gonna bring up my karaoke stuff because his stuff is down in San Diego area.
Oh yeah, so one day, I think on that probably Thursday. I don't know when the I actually don't know what day the VeVe party is. So if that's gonna be probably Saturday. So maybe we'll have a party at his place. What day are you getting there?
I think Wednesday, maybe.
I wanted to go Wednesday too.
I think Wednesday.
But Spirit Spirit's like going down. So and they like canceled my flight because they're like we don't have this leg anymore. I was like, I understand closing legs that don't closing legs. I understand closing these flight paths that there are cities that maybe no one wants to go to, but everyone definitely wants to go to Vegas. Like there's no way. But so me and Sparky's flight got canceled. I was like, ugh. So now I might either go Thursday. I was thinking about flying into Arizona on that Wednesday, and then me and Fam Bam would drive up on Thursday.
Fam Bam. Yeah.
Just that'd be fun. But she can't.
Good company too.
Dude, I love her, but she can't leave on Wednesday. I would like to leave like on Wednesday, but she doesn't want to take like a third day off work. So I was like, okay, well, I'll fly on Thursday then. It's like Thursday morning, and then we leave morning, and then we'll get there Thursday afternoon. It's like 5 hours. So this is something that I wanted to talk to you about as well. So I asked her if we could stay at or we could stop by like a clown motel. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, so there's a clown motel. I got to go back in the text messages here. It's in Tonopah, Nevada. It's a world famous clown motel. It's really creepy, and I want to stay there. And but it's like 3 hours out of the way, and I was like, okay, we can't do that then. But she did throw me a counter offer. She's like, hey, I want to go to this place in Simi Valley at some point, and it's like the Poltergeist movie house. And I was like, oh, I totally do that. So like we look up prices, and for 3 nights in January, it is $6,900. Everyone comment nice down below for the 69. And I was like, okay, it's got to be because it's the Poltergeist house. Like, there's no way a random place in Simi Valley is going to be $2,000 a night, maybe a couple hundred a night, maybe like $500 a night if it's nice. But here's my thought: there are people like me that would totally do this. Now, you're a little older than me. You might be able to recall. Like, I'm pretty sure Amityville Horror, at least that IP as far as movie goes, that's a bit more popular than Poltergeist, right?
No, is it? I don't think so. I haven't seen that movie, but Poltergeist I have. Okay, but I don't watch a lot of horror movies. Poltergeist one of the few that I've even seen. I don't watch creepy like ones that leave that feeling in. Very rarely.
Gotcha. I grew up in Long Island, and the Amityville Horror House is I grew up like 15 minutes away from there. And I had this idea of like, okay, if there's a house that's like world famous, and the Amityville Horror House goes on sale like every like 5 years, because whoever buys it, after 5 years, they're like, nope, can't do it. And that's happened like clockwork. Sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's like 7 years, but it goes on sale like a lot. So I thought like if a normal house in that area for an Airbnb might go for like a couple $100 a night, or like $300 a night, however much, would it be worth paying an extra 20% for a house? Like than normal, because it's a famous house, so you're gonna pay that premium. If you can go in and charge like 5 times the amount per night for an Airbnb, right, yeah, totally. Do you want to go in with me on that?
No, because I want to manage. I don't want to manage the Airbnb. Like I want things set up really automated. So one of the things I like about crypto is you can make your money make money for you. And the amazing thing about making your money make money for you is no renters. Now, I have over 20 years background in real estate investment. Real estate investment was one of the greatest ways to go from zero to rich take you about 30 years. If you happen to be in a really hyper accelerating market, maybe 15 years. But crypto can do it in 2 cycles and without having to manage renters. And when you get good, you're good at screening for good renters, but even good renters have problems come up. Bad renters will make you lose all your hair. And I have less hair that I want to lose in my life. So renters, no. So that's the downside. Yeah, could we find a manager? But then you got to manage the manager. So let's do some cool shit, but just not that. Like, would it be fun? I think we should go rent the Poltergeist house. And then we should sit in the kitchen and see if it will push us, like, look at me, mommy.
we
We'll
totally
get a string, we'll freak out the ladies, right? We'll get a string where it like pulls us, like just like in the movie. Yeah.
Have you seen that video with some dad who's got like a 12-year-old daughter and her friends are over and they're playing with a Ouija board, which I would never recommend. But he's taken a video of himself playing with the circuit breaker, and you hear the girls in the background going, ah, because they're like,
yeah, so funny. So funny.
Dads are so mean sometimes.
Oh, that is total dad humor. I mean, oh my God. It's so funny. We do the craziest things. When my kids were little, right? I had one of my daughters and she was pretty rough and tumble and really like fun and wiry and a lot of muscle for her weight. So I throw this pillow at her and I realize she is going to splat on the kitchen tile. But I had 2 pillows. I'd thrown one. I was like, as soon as I left my hand, I was like, oh no. So I hurry up and throw the other one faster. And sure enough, the first one catches her legs and she just spills forward and the other one lands right underneath her. She just slides. It was like the perfect dad save. I was like, oh my gosh. Dads, like, we're crazy. We do like the craziest things with our kids. But then, sometimes we're like, oh, I got to save my kid too,
My friend Bill, one day we were at some like rooftop like party, and it was good. It was fun. And his son is like, he wasn't like a toddler. He was like maybe like 6, 7, and the roof was like, don't get too drunk, because it was maybe like you had like a 4-foot thing. You could go over, and his kid was doing something, playing with like a water gun. He was running, and I see the kid, and he had a beer in one hand and he had like his phone in the other, and he just tripped his kid. Like, he could have just dropped his phone and caught him, but he just stuck his foot out and the kid face planted, and is like, I didn't want him to go over the edge. And he just was like, okay, I see that. That's fair.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
We do these calculations that are had to happen so fast, right?
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah, that'll be fun. So for Vegas, if you're getting there on Wednesday, maybe I'll get there on Wednesday. I don't know. I'll let you know. I have a couple of friends that are coming that aren't not really VeVe peeps, but I definitely want you to meet, because Dan, it was like my mentor in the high risk lending. He's just like us. You'll love him. He doesn't really put any more than like $5,000 into any one investment, even though he's richer than I am, like by a lot. So he's got maybe like 20 million.
Until he's not.
He's got like 20 million OMI. He's got a good amount of Bitcoin, I think, too. And most of his stuff's in the S&P, which, granted, S&P like all-time highs right now, so he's chilling. But I was like, maybe you can convince him more than me.
If he makes an amazing 50%, he'll be so excited. Meanwhile, certain crypto things are going to go like 50x, and then 50% just looks minuscule.
I can't wait. So excited. So there's so many. I know not like I think stablecoin bill or whatever. There's a significant, I think Senator Lummis, or there's a significant thing that's about to happen before the end of the year, has to do with crypto legislation. I know Devi has a couple things rolling out end of Q4, end of this quarter. If I, gun to my head, I would say that DeVe probably has that ability to run first, or that probability to run first. I mean, anything can run at any moment, but
wish I knew. I wish I knew how it'd play out.
Yeah.
It depends on when that announcement comes out. Like, I guess, like we know Manu at Definity, and they got a digital crypto license through Jersey, which is licensed out of the UK, which means it covers the broader EU, is my understanding, because it's in an EU country. As far as the regulations go that way. But they're trying to get one in Europe, and Manu complained about how long it took, and it took so much longer than it needed to. I think DeVe's going through that headache. And I think the partner doesn't want to make the announcement until their license comes through. So we'll see when that announcement's made. They had said that they had anticipated making it fourth quarter. So hopefully it does come out then, because I would love for DeVe to run first, because I'm heavy on that, and I'd love to roll some into other things. I'd love nothing more than DeVe to go like 50x. Meanwhile, OMI's still at these same prices. Then I would load up on a bunch more OMI. I would love to have enough OMI that, certain people use an M when they describe how much OMI they have, and then other people like use a B, and it would be way fun to use a B instead of an M.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get up to 300 million next week at 275. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Nice.
Keep everyone posted.
David Hill says gold price going nuts. It is. I mean, government shut down. The money printer is going to go burr. Hard assets are going to go crazy in this environment, especially if Trump does stimulus check, and especially if he can get Jerome Powell to resign early. Then I think they put somebody very bullish in there, and bigger interest rates come sooner, and quantitative easing comes sooner.
Can't wait. I'm going to be very excited. Trump's social media is wild, from the White House to Twitter, to Instagram, where he had, I think 2 days ago, uploaded another video of them blowing up a drug boat from Venezuela. And one of the comments made me think about, are you familiar with the cocaine bear story?
The what? Cocaine bear?
Yeah, it was back in the 80s, 90s, when Clinton was governor of Arkansas. There was the end of a CIA job. I guess they had tactically acquired some cocaine from some cartel, whatever. They were flying it over. Something happened with the chopper, turbulence. Like a couple kilos of it fell in the Arkansas wilderness, and a black bear found it and ate it, and became the most dangerous apex predator on Earth for like 12 minutes before his heart exploded. They made a movie about it recently, and I could picture, like, when they blow up these drug boats, the people and the drugs, most of it dissipates, but some of it goes into the water, and I don't know the ramifications or the consequences of sharks on cocaine, and what they might do if we're going to have more shark attacks now. Like, that's all going into that water supply. How do you feel about that, Ray?
That's a good question. Because it instantly dissolves in the water and gets dissipated, I bet you it gets all the local fish around there high. Hopefully not overdosing them, but like, I don't know, when you blow up something in the ocean too, like toxic oils go into the environment and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it good? Well, no.
I mean,
I was thinking as we were talking earlier about that video he posted and stuff. Then like 5 years ago, where everyone's like, "Oh, Trump's doing mean tweets." Like, everything was about his mean tweets. Now it's his mean memes. I was thinking about it like, oh, he graduated from mean tweets to mean meme videos. It's like, yeah. I mean, with Sora AI, I can imagine the mean videos that he's going to do, because he's so mean.
Speaking of memes, there's a year ago at Token 2049, most of the people there were just talking about launching meme coins, because the SEC up until that time was just targeting everything. It was open season for them. They're like, We can't
they
put
had
out
no
anything
appetite to
legitimate.
go after meme coins because
Yeah.
there's no utility and they had no regulatory authority that they could figure how to make. They couldn't figure out how to make an argument about them having regulatory authority over meme coins. So that was like safer.
So that's what everyone was doing last year at 2049. This year at Token 2049, half the people that were there were institutions. Half the people that were there speaking weren't in a Bored Ape Yacht Club shirt that was like 3 years old. They were in suits. They were it is such a 180, such a night and day difference. And I can't help but feel super excited.
Yeah, the amount of money that went in there by institutions and big names, like the amount of money coming into crypto, like institutions are finally going to come into crypto, and I think we're going to see mergers and acquisitions. A lot of companies coming late that are just going to throw money at stuff in order to try to catch up.
Yeah.
And to get in space, much like people during the .com boom.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I'm going to have to look to you for when to sell because I'm too scared about round tripping again, and I'm probably going to want to sell too early.
I'll be like, hold, and then your grandma calls up and be like, Randy, I'm really trying to get into these VeVe things, and how do I buy OMI? It's like, yeah, we're selling now, OMI. We're selling now, Randy. Selling our OMI now. Your grandma just called and asked how to buy OMI. We're out.
When you said hold twice, that reminded me of the William Wallace gif where it's like hold.
Yes.
Hold.
Yeah. And then we're gonna raise the big stakes.
Yeah. OMI buy, pump, and promote. I mean I've already got my bag, and don't get me wrong, I'll add to my bag as more money trickles in, but I don't know what. Can you further elaborate what OMI buy, pump, and promote means? And can you translate that, or am I tripping here?
Gosh, for a second I thought he was talking about like you auctioning off a date, to the ladies if they,
Yeah, we could do that. As long, yeah, we could do that. There's always gals vying for my attention. Yeah, that should do pretty well. I'll do it. I know that's not what he's talking about, but that's something we could totally do. We can do that as well. Yeah, call me 3 logo.
Yeah, they pay extra, then Randy does a little strip tease while they sit on a chair.
Oh, you mean so Arctura is talking about TWAPing. Coordinate date where whales and everyone buys an OMI. So the time weighted average pricing. So in order to do that, at least for something on the scale, like you could do that on like a meme coin that has like $100,000 market cap, and it's not going to take that much money at different intervals to move it. But for time weighted average pricing on OMI, that's like $100 million, $90 million market cap. You would need a couple of $1 million at least, and it would have to be across. And now there's like 8 million in volume. You'd probably need mid 7 figures, and it would take a month to have like across all the exchanges that offer OMI, and every 12 hours, if you do it twice a day, maybe you could do it 3 times a day, every 8 hours, go in and buy at significant amounts and then hold. And it's just for such a large market cap, that would be expensive. So we could do that if you have the money. I don't have an extra $1 million to spare, at least not liquid. That's where I'd have to sell everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if you,
cash. And we won't need to do that. Like that's just going to happen when the narrative comes for digital collectibles. Like it's going to go crazy enough.
Yeah. And everyone else shows it on social media. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah. I mean, we could do it on base because there's only really 2 places to get it. OMI on, or I guess 3. It's because yeah, if you go on StackR, they use 1 inch, right? And they use the liquidity pool on Uniswap. Mask, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what they do. So if you want to do it on Base, you could do it there and then do it on the new exchange that we have, BingX. And this way, there'll be a big disparity, a big arbitrage difference. So people will probably buy it on Base, try to convert it, and then, or buy it on ETH and then try to sell it on Base. You might have something like that, but that'll still create more volume as well, and it wouldn't take as much time. But I also feel like we're getting into like the manipulation type of thing, and I don't know if that's gonna, probably not worth it to do. Even talking about it is probably not worth it.
Yeah, you don't need to. Now, some people play that game, and there are people with billions of dollars, and they enjoy playing that game. I think, you make plenty of money just buying low and selling high. That you don't need to play that game if you're looking for fundamentally sound projects that have a strong company itself with strong leadership and a narrative that makes sense. And you buy it when it's really cheap, and you diversify across a number of those. And then some of them are going to go so crazy that the ones that fail become irrelevant because you made so much from the ones crazy. And OMI was one of my plays. OMI will go fine without that. We don't have to do that, because when you do that, if it comes out, then it creates some negative press and stuff. You don't need to do that.
Agreed. Anything else we have not gone over yet that we probably should before Comic-Con, before next week?
Well, enjoy New York Comic-Con. Fun time. I didn't expect to really love Manhattan the way I did. I thought New York, it's a big deal. You go to Manhattan, it's beautiful. It's fun. The people were cool. Way cooler than I even realized how cool. I enjoyed New Yorkers a ton. And so it was fun. And I loved Manhattan way more. And going back, I've gotten to enjoy it even more. Every time I've gone, I've been I like New York even more than I did before. So I just wouldn't live there because taxes are crazy there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I would not live there.
Taxes and you can't. We're protecting you, so you can't use these crypto exchanges. Come on. No, you're not. New York has been corrupt that way for a long, long time. Rudy Giuliani fixing for a while, but it's back to corrupt hands. And they're protecting you. What they're doing is they're protecting their donors. They're not protecting you.
Yeah, rough times and for New York crypto goers, but hopefully that changes. You get this bull run will help you be rich enough to move out of New York and go. Normally I'd say Ohio, but looks like Arizona might be a fun place to keep you all posted. Rain, let's talk off camera for a bit. Got some stuff to go over. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashy. Bye-bye, Dashy. Thank you for joining us on another.
We'll see everyone.
See y'all next week. Bye, guys. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.